In May 2020, I saw a headline in the New York Times which said, it was a New York Times magazine, which asked, "Will the coronavirus kill astrology?" The article wanted to know, why didn't the astrologers see it coming? There may be some of you Vedic astrologers and Western astrologers out there that perhaps did predict. But as far as I know, no one predicted the shutdown of the entire world. Now, there are many astrologers out there who frequently predict Armageddon and end of the world scenarios, generally annually, plagues, floods, earthquakes, war. So yes, they can claim that prediction. And then there was the Biden-Trump election. People have a great deal of interest in knowing who's going to win. And many astrologers were out there trying to make that prediction. But as far as I know, at least in Vedic astrology, most got it wrong. The internet is full of Vedic astrology videos that Trump will win. Some said Biden will win. But of course, remember that you have a 50-50 chance of being accurate. So that's not exactly a good test on the craft. But what I want to tell you, that this is not the fault of astrology. It's simply too difficult with the inordinate amount of information that you're going to have coming at you, especially in two horoscopes which both contain the potential to become the seed, to become the most powerful person in the world. Both will have, the astrologer will see, both will contain those patterns. Those karmas will be there. If that wasn't there, they'd drop out the race a lot earlier. So in order to make the prediction, I guess many astrologers end up, consciously or unconsciously, they have their own personal biases in techniques, and they, because they get asked, they get to, they say, well, this is what's going to happen. You can't take human nature out of astrology. You can't take human nature out of science. The karma of the astrologer, the mythology of the astrologer, the background, all that plays a great part in making a prediction, whether you like it or not. And that's part of the training of a good astrologer, to remove that as much as possible. And then there are the skeptics out there who say that astrology can never be demonstrated to be effective in controlled, scientific studies, so it's not valid. The biggest problem, I've been doing this for 25 years, and the biggest problem that I see with astrology is that the astrologers have set themselves up, at least especially in Vedic astrology, because it's a very highly predictive system of astrology, but they've set themselves up to be judged for their value. Their value is based on their ability to make precise and accurate predictions every time. Now, let's take the subject of economics, for example, or finance, which is tasked also with forecasting trends. Should we only value it, this in-depth understanding that these subjects have of the market forces, based on the predictions they make? Just as there are too many variables that they're dealing with, such as, for example, the coronavirus, getting thrown into the mix of the world economic forecasts, messing up everything, there are too many variables in astrology as well. When you read a horoscope of an individual, you rarely see 100% trends pointing in one direction. And when you try to do that with collective karma, like the karma of a nation or the world, it gets even more difficult. There's no subject on earth that is judged as people judge astrology. There's no computer on earth yet created that could potentially process all the variables and come up with an accurate prediction. What most subjects can do is to give you an in-depth understanding from that subject's vantage point of how the world works. I've been working with clients for 25 years, and I've been developing a system of astrology that works every time as a formidable tool for personal transformation and self-knowledge. My new book, Before Your Future, will open your eyes to a whole new methodology of personal growth, to pursue your personal growth. After all, Jyotish Vedic astrology is the eyes of the Vedas and the crown jewel of Vedic knowledge. The process that I present in my courses and my book, and even with my one-on work with my clients, is to show you step by step how to access the broad outline of your life story. And then what you do with it is the knowledge of what you do with it to improve your karma, if it is difficult, is also contained in Vedic astrology. And by the way, according to that same New York Times article, there has been a 22% increase, it quoted, to the interest in astrology in 2020. So yeah, coronavirus was not there to kill astrology. So folks, astrology is here to stay. Astrology has been around as long as humans have been around, since the dawn of time. It's the oldest healing modality in the world, and it has survived, through the ages in all cultures. So pick up my book and look at astrology from a fresh pair of eyes and see the enormous value that it can bring into your life. If you don't focus on wanting to know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow.